one. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, this is Jody Barker. For those of you who can't see me, I'll demask at the table. So, all right. Well, welcome to this month's Colorado Commission on, or excuse me, PPACG and Pikes Peak Area Commission on Aging meeting. And we're just going to start with some housekeeping. So we'll start with the call to order, and we're going to just go through our membership list to confirm who's here so we can establish a quorum, since we do have an item for voting. Does that sound good, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then we'll introduce who's in the room and who's on screen, and we'll get ready to go. Yeah, so if I can just hear an affirmative as I call your name, that would be a huge help. CJ?
I'm here.
Thank you. Connie Johnson?
I'm
Connie?
here.
Oh, excellent.
I'm here.
Thank you. Elise is in the room. I see Debbie.
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you. Dave Betzler's here in the room with us today. Thank you, sir. Kelsey.
Representing Innovations. Oh, no.
No, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's all right. Kelsey, not with us today. All right. Chuck Larson. Okay. Amy Mitchell's here with us in the room from Park County. Thank you for making that drive.
My pleasure.
At least it's a nice day for you to do that drive today.
Absolutely.
Paula, are you with us today?
I am.
Thank you.
Yep.
Lilani?
Mm.
All right. Claire or Mei Ling? I see Mei Ling.
Yes. Hi there.
Excellent. Thank you. Is Claire with us as well?
I don't believe she'll be available. She
Okay.
might pop in, but I'm here
Alrighty.
with Innovations.
Great. Thank you. We'll just watch as we progress. And then Vanessa, are you with us today? All right. So give me just 2 shakes to do a count here. I show 1, 2, 3, 4.
Leilani is on her way. She's running late from a doctor's appointment. She's going to be there in person.
In person. Excellent. Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate that. So,
Thank you. I was just texting her.
okay.
Just texted
Okay.
me.
Madam Chair, that does show that we have a quorum, both in the room and between the room and Zoom. So we'll start with introductions. As I said, my name is Jody Barker. I'm the Director of the Area Agency on Aging for the Pikes Peak region, our region 4. And I guess we'll just go around the room.
I'm Elisa Santos, Chair of the Commission.
Amy Mitchell, Park County Commissioner for District 1.
Dave Betzler, Northern El Paso County at large.
And then if we just call out real quick, who else is on the screen? The only other person I see on the screen is Deborah Worley with CSPD.
Deidre.
And Andrew, I see that you're with us today. Thank you for joining us.
Connie Johnson, co-chair.
Thank you. I see Kelsey has joined us now. Thank you.
Hey everybody, Kelsey Heermans is here.
Hi.
And let's see who else. Is there anyone else on the screen? My apologies. Feeling more and more like one of my clients every day sometimes. So.
And I just wanted to, we have our guest is online with us, Andrew Davies from the Colorado Center of Aging, who will be speaking.
And other folks in the room with us today, for those of you who are on Zoom and can't see the back side of the room, we have Jessica McMullen, our Policy and Communications Manager with PPACG, running our tech today. So big thank you to her. We also have Kent Matthews. Many of you know him. He is the coordinator and supervisor for the Family Caregiver Support Center here at PPAAA. So thank you very much, Kent. I think he's shadowing the tech side of things for today. We are all taking turns learning how to use the new technology for our hybrid meetings to make sure that we have the appropriate coverage. So thank you. Jessica has stepped in. You'll notice that Melissa is not with us today. She is out of town right now for a family emergency. So if you have a moment to just say hopeful thanks and prayer for her, that would be most appreciated for her side of things. And we hope to see her back next week. So with that, Madam Chair, I'm going to hand it over to you. Yeah. Any question? And you don't have to hold it, just press it once. There you go.
So we need a consent for the agenda and the minutes as we receive them from last month.
Approve the minutes as sent.
When you make a motion on Zoom, please remember to state your name first.
Connie Johnson, make a motion, we approve the minutes as sent.
I second Paula Levy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All the consent items pass. Do we have any public comments?
None were sent to me in advance.
None were received in advance of the meeting on admin side either.
Okay. And our action items, I don't know that we have any. Can we move it down to C?
All right. Thank you for allowing us a few moments of muttering. We see that there are no action items at this time, so we'll move on to information items with the membership committee.
This is Connie Johnson. And yes, I will be, Brenda Miller was going to be on the call today, but I see she's not here. So I will be talking with her about 9:30 tomorrow morning about possibly being a new commissioner. So we'll do, I'll talk to her first, and I thought she'd be on the call and then we'd have more to talk about. So I will get back with the membership committee about setting up an interview, but I'll probably talk to her myself tomorrow morning, and then I'll set up an interview. And that's all I have for membership.
So next we'll hear from the policy committee. I'm going to ask Jody to maybe elaborate. We were guided. I sent you all an email. We were guided by the PPACG board the other day to take up some advocacy around taxes involving seniors. And I'm not really sure about the logistics of that. Could you help me out, Jody?
I'm happy to, and just know that we have not had a full discussion on this yet with the executive committee, because it did really come up at the PPACG board meeting last week, almost as an aside, but with some very clear guidance that they would love to see this commission work on this specific area, and that is the senior property tax exemption portability. And Andrew, I expect that you may have something to share around that, if that's something that you all are working on. So this isn't really to steal your thunder, but just as a response to our board of directors encouraging this commission to work on this from the policy and legislative advocacy side. So really, if you're not familiar with the full name, if you were to go looking for this, is the Senior Citizen and Disabled Veterans Property Tax Exemptions, and this is a statewide system of property tax exemptions. Folks over 65 who have lived in their home and own their home for more than 10 years may apply for a property tax exemption. It allows the first 100,000 of property value to be reduced from their property tax assessment, and therefore effectively cutting the property tax owed. From a purely social services standpoint, this is probably something that our agency sees more often than not in just about every area of service where someone is still able to live in their home. They have full capacity to do so, but they're essentially being they're being charged out of their home the cost to live in their home, even if they've lived there for well over 10 years. The mortgage is paid off. They've if their property tax bill gets so high that they can no longer afford to live there, sometimes that's where we see folks making some very crucial and dangerous decisions around their own personal living situations. Many times that is when someone determines the best thing for them to do is move into an assisted living situation, even though they don't truly need assisted living. You may see a situation where they might try to have roommates or change their living situation so that they can still live in their home. And sometimes it's not ideal unless they're working through an agency, like some of you have heard around the Sunshine Home Shares organization that expanded into Colorado Springs. We were able to help them do that last year, despite COVID, but we were able to receive a grant from the Next 50 Foundation to support their move and expansion into El Paso County, which allows people to stay in their home, have a vetted and approved renter. And so that is yet another way to keep people safely in their home and have that third-party oversight that helps engage that renter with them. So that has been extremely successful, and it's not just in Colorado. There are several organizations in Colorado, but that's a program that's operating nationwide. But we see then you may have seen in the Independent recently, where they're talking about property tax. Folks can no longer, basically the assessments are outgrowing the income. And that's really what it boils down to. So some of the discussions recently have been around, so maybe you do live in your home and you're single, maybe you're a couple, you don't have family that live with you anymore, and your house has essentially outgrown you. Recently, there have been bills taken before the state legislature that would allow portability or transferability, and that language is a little tricky because they really mean different things. But for sake of this explanation, we'll just call it portability. There have been bills taken before the legislature that have been knocked down, not passed. And the idea behind the portability is, let's say you're in a 4-bedroom place and you no longer need that. It is difficult to move to downsize because you start fresh with that. You lose your property tax exemption allowance. because then you have to start over. Even if you're well over 65, you have to be in that new home for 10 years before you can apply again for a property tax exemption. And so it really defeats the purpose of downsizing. There are a lot of pros to being able to pass this type of legislation, because it could allow someone to downsize and effectively free up a larger house for the housing market, which we know right now is pretty crazy, but it's growing. And so this would allow someone to effectively downsize, keep their essentially port their property tax exemption into the new property. What that looks like specifically, that's been toyed with. There are other states who have done just that. In fact, in doing some research for this conversation, Florida has a portability transfer that allows them to move what they call their Save Our Homes benefit from their old home to the new home with certain qualifications. It does not mirror Colorado by any means, but it's certainly something that we could look at other states to say, well, this is what this state is doing to make sure that options are put out there. This conversation is extremely challenging because, as you know, certain parts of city and county structure are funded by our property taxes, including schools. And schools receive a major portion of their income and their budgets from property taxes. So it's unfortunately, it's a bit of a contentious conversation and can be very challenging. So that is something that we actually have. I was really hoping Chuck Larson could be here because, as you know, he serves on the Fountain City Council, and that's a discussion that they're having. One of our board of directors, who also sits on the City of Fountain board, is a huge proponent of the portability, and so it is coming up, I believe, and I'm gonna bend Jessica's ear here just to confirm. I believe the portability of the senior property tax exemption is coming back up for discussion with the legislature in this new legislation. Is that correct?
The last several years, we have seen two bills that continue to come up, which is a medical necessity portability to allow seniors who must move due to medical necessity regarding their homes to maintain their property tax exemption. And also one to increase the value of the home exemption, as homes value has been increasing so greatly that they'd like to balance that out so seniors are not seeing an equal increase, that they don't have an equal income increase. Those two bills have both been proposed in 2019, 2018, and 2017. I'm going through and have failed each year.
Thanks so much. So with
Just a note,
yes,
have those built as the past, I mean, have they failed miserably? Is there a growing support for these bills? Is there any way you can say 27, 18, and 19, you said, right?
And I'm double checking on that, which exactly years and which of those two bills were. And they are typically either postponed indefinitely by the sponsor or are never seen past third reading because of the financial impact to the state.
And perhaps the contentious nature of it too, right?
The discussion which is had in public is the financial impact to the state.
Thank you for that question, Dave. I appreciate that. So as I mentioned, because Elisa was here on Wednesday last week for our board meeting, she was recognized by our executive director, Andrew Gunning, representing the Commission on Aging. And that sparked the chair of the board of directors to speak to that very briefly and hope that some advocacy and work could be done by this commission. So throwing that out today, I know Lisa sent some information, forwarded on some information from Melissa. I think this could be a great opportunity to work with other organizations, including I'm sorry, I still want to call. Yes, the Center for Age. I want to call it our senior lobby. Yes, that's what it's been in my entire career. But that is, I think there's a great opportunity for you all as commission members to representing not just El Paso County, but the 3-county region, to really speak to this, speak directly around the impact that our immediate region will have, but ultimately what this could look like at the state level. So with that, I encourage you, and we will be all involved to have that discussion. As a reminder, because this commission is part of the PPACG system, we do have appropriate protocol and procedure to follow to work that through the system. And we are here as staff, Melissa and I, and ultimately Jessica as well from the policy and communication standpoint. We will help guide and lead you through that process so that we're dotting out of our I's and compliant and really can make sure that we have the opportunity to express this. And the beauty of this, of course, is that we get to speak to ultimately the leadership of 3 counties and 16 municipalities, all representing folks of all ages from this 3-county region. So I think there's a great opportunity, and it's a great opportunity as you guys are kind of getting kicked off. So yeah.
Should we ever guest speak?
Let's see here. You have a big chair report? No. No, just go ahead. I think we'll keep in there and then that way it's all in context.
So does anybody from the policy committee have anything to update us on?
Mailing Rodriguez, I can speak, not necessarily update wise, but just informing that we were not able to meet last month. So we are reconvening next week. We don't have any updates besides the fact that we are tracking legislation coming starting this fall. And then with Claire coming back on board, we are looking at options for continuing to strengthen the advocacy.
Okay, thank you, Mei-Ling. Yeah, go ahead.
And Mei-Ling, I just want to throw out, we can get more details for all of the commission members. Annually, we host a legislative roundtable to which it is open to the public, and we invite all of our committees to attend if they are able. Those plans are in process right now, but the date to hold is October
15th at 2:30 p.m. at PPLD's Library 21C in the main venue.
Thank you.
At what time was that?
2:30.
Okay,
I'm going to put it in the chat as well for everyone.
Awesome.
thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. So that's something to keep an eye on. Just so you know, the legislators and they do invite state level legislators as well to come and speak and talk about areas of interest and areas of concern, so that information is passed along from the municipal level all the way up to the state level. And so you would be invited to come and listen to that as well. So
That would be really interesting for anyone who can attend that. That would be really great. And when I had sent out in the email before I go over a couple of things that I had written down, I had asked both Paula to represent Teller County and Amy to represent Park County and tell us if there's any updates in your counties or goings on that we need to be aware of. So either one of you, go ahead.
Go ahead, Amy.
we are winding down from our summer activities and do not have any activities on the board right now. Our main focus in providing services to the seniors are we offer shelf-stable food boxes, 20 meals monthly to our qualified seniors. And that is a goal that we are working on. We don't really have facility to offer meals at a location. And as I told Elisa, you can't get anywhere in 30 minutes and you can get everywhere in 40 to 60 minutes. And so we don't really want our seniors having to drive that much. It's really a challenge. Then in segueing into transportation, our transportation goal and our plan is that we offer through a voucher system, neighbors or family or volunteers drive. They will drive and be compensated for miles to take seniors who need that help to doctor's appointments and such, and shopping, grocery shopping. They try to, do it all in one trip. But that is really the only way we can offer any kind of transportation service because of the low density of the county. We have seniors that go to Summit County, Fremont County, Jefferson County, and Teller County, and Springs and Denver for medical. And sometimes Chaffee County. So we people just go where they can find medical help that is going to work for them. And so we are a challenged county. Then the third one is we also have volunteers that will come and help with seasonal chores, maybe putting up some firewood, cleaning up leaves or pine needles. We try to work with volunteers to help with snow removal and such on areas around their home. So we mainly work on a volunteer basis and find people who are willing to step up. I want to speak real briefly, just real quick on the property tax exemption. The counties are the ones, I don't think it's a real state argument that it would harm the state, because the counties are who survive on property taxes. And we are absolutely in favor of keeping our seniors in their homes and try to find ways to help mitigate the crazy increase in valuations of homes when they're on a fixed income. And we know how to squeeze a lot out of a dime, and we are absolutely in favor of finding a way to increase the exemption, because it has not kept pace with the valuation of properties, and the portability of it as well, if they can downsize, because when they do try to choose to downsize, they are not exchanging a par value of their home. Their smaller home, which may allow them to stay in a home because it's more manageable, is per square foot more expensive than where they are now if they've lived in their home for more than 10 years. So we are in favor, and we will be speaking loudly for whatever legislation may come on the board for 2022.
I just want to interject in a couple of things I had in mind for Park County. Before the meeting started, Amy and I were talking, and we are trying to hook Park County up. Some of our colleagues at Silver Key have been forwarding them some grants for rural areas. And because they have such a small staff up there, I was talking to Amy, and we are going to try and set them up with Silver Key's grant person to kind of give them a tutorial of how both Amy and the senior coalition up in Park County, they can just quickly learn how to do a grant and the grant searches. So Silver Key has said that they would help them go through that. So, and they're going to continue to send Park County grants that they get through their email, that Park County would also be applicable. You know what I'm saying?
Applicable.
You can apply for.
And we're grateful for that. We do not have a grant writer in Park County. We just do not have the budget for it. And so our finance director is the one who manages our grants. And each department begs for help wherever we could get it when we do apply for grants. So we are grateful and will take any help and point to any resource anyone is willing to point us to. And we will go after anything that we think is pertinent and manageable. So we're grateful.
Yeah, I will share too that several of the programs that you described, those are currently funded through our Older Americans Act dollars that we
Correct.
administer that get pushed out to Park County. And so we're excited to see the board of directors and Jenny as the new executive director there with Park County Senior Coalition and what they're already doing. And she's been fantastic to work with. So we're really proud of where Park County has come in the last year or so since she came on board and the board of directors. So kudos. And yeah, it comes back to it all being a collaboration, right? Sharing that knowledge, sharing that access to information, sharing that access to resources. So we want to throw this out to you in person, Amy, since you're living there, but ultimately to all of the commissioners that if you find something from your circle of influence, think about how it could be shared amongst the region. Because not everyone gets the same emails you do. Not everyone's in the same circle of influence. And that's a perfect opportunity to, I told, in fact, a staff member shared something out about a week ago with myself and our executive director. And she said, I don't know if you still, if you get these, but just in case. And I said, listen, I'd rather get 2 of those emails than none at all. And so, that is a perfect opportunity where we can share that out. So I'm really glad to hear of this kind of collaboration. That's really exciting. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago too, for Colorado Center on Aging, before they talk, we had reached out to our Park County team members and asked them to sit on an advocacy, and they have introduced themselves. And so just recently, the Colorado Center on Aging featured our commissioner, Amy Mitchell, through their social media. And we are also going to do that here through our local Commission on Aging. When we had our executive meeting, we came to a pretty quick decision that we wanted to feature Park County first because it's the lesser visibility out of all 3 counties. And we thought that they could use the boost. And we will come down the mountain from there, either featuring Leilani or Paula after that, and then come down into El Paso County and feature some of our other commissioners. The other thing I wanted to say is, Amy, I'm not sure if you've talked to the Colorado Center on Aging about that bill that was passed about bringing geriatric specialists to rural areas. That's that bill that was passed, that there's some kind of a percentage of loan forgiveness for specialists going to rural areas.
We have for their student loans and such.
Yes.
To bill. Yes. And we are reaching out to try to find anyone who can make that through we have 1 doctor in the county in Fairplay. We have a medical special district. And so they are working to see if anyone is willing to, even on a part-time basis, come up and we can have senior day twice a month and have that person come up. So we are all over that and are grateful that they've recognized the need. So.
All right, Paula.
Yeah, I want to just tell Amy, I'm happy to help in the grant writing process and share contacts. I'm actually headed to Rural Philanthropy Days next week in Canyon City, where there will be funders roundtables, and I will take notes and numbers and brochures, whatever I can find that speak to your area, and send them your way. It's going to be a great conference, and just it's like speed dating for funders or for nonprofits, basically, with funders. So I would love to just sit with you one-on-one, Amy, too, and just brainstorm a little bit on how we can collaborate. Teller County, our Golden Bridge Network has revived itself from some COVID stuff, and we are going to quickly pull together a holiday Senior Expo, which will be held on November 13th at the Mountain View United Methodist Church. I believe our hours are going to be 9 to 1. It will be, we'll be sending vendor agreements out. We're going to do our walkthrough on Friday and decide exactly how many vendors we'll be able to accept. We'll have lunch. We'll have one keynote and a panel of a panel presentation. So watch for more information on that. Other things happening in Teller County for seniors. I'm just drawing a blank right now. I know several of our nonprofits are part of the Indie Give year-end philanthropic campaign. I know Teller Senior Coalition is, Daybreak is, I believe TCRAS is, Teller County Habitat for Humanity. We all participate in that year-end philanthropic giving campaign, which starts November 1st and ends on December 31st. Trying to think of what else. I know Coalition is searching for a new building, new office space, as is Daybreak looking for a new building, and we actually have something that just moved to the front burner. So we're anxiously awaiting our board meeting on Monday to see where we can move forward with that and hopefully have something under contract sooner than later. Fourth time's the charm, I guess I would like to say. So that's about it for Teller County. And Leilani's texting me saying that she is not getting her internet to work with her Zoom link. So I'm wondering if she could she just call in to the meeting?
She
Yes.
can. There's a telephone number a little bit.
I'll text that to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah,
I know
she looked
she's-
at the invite. There's a telephone number and a code that she.
I'll send that.
Right here.
I will send that to her.
It's also there at the top of the agenda.
I'll text that to her right now.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Another update I was going to ask for Deidre, are you still on the line? If you could tell us what's going on with the Pikes Peak Elder Justice or anything in your arena that we should be aware of?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can, Deidre.
Good deal. The Pikes Peak Elder Justice is still a program that Chuck is very much involved in. So I don't have a lot of information about that. I just know that we are trying to find people to be members and do more partnerships with the groups that we're already partnered with on that. In my area, I stopped by Silver Key this last week and enjoyed meeting some of the staff there, as well as meeting some of the clients. And, I don't, just got a lot of cases that I'm working right now, folks. Trying to stay busy on them. I can't, I don't have more than that at this time.
Okay.
Let me think about it a minute and I will probably get back to you before the end of the meeting.
All right, thanks, Deidre. And I just had a couple of things. I did come to the PPACG board meeting. Jody kind of went over that. I will say that Claire from Innovations in Aging presented and did highlight the commission and talk about our ongoing work and that we're ramping up to do some really great things. If anybody has any suggestions for our guest speakers next month, please let me know. Or if you have any idea, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing the commissioner features. So I think Paula, you will probably be up next. So if you can work on, we asked Amy not for a professional picture, but more a familial picture. So the public sees that she's a real person and in her element. So if that's with you and your family, we would love that. Your passions, what you're involved in Teller County. And remember, there's only so many, there's only so many lines because I know you're involved in so much in Teller County. I'm just kidding. But if you can send that to us, that would be great. And we would love to feature you next.
I forgot one more item that I could
Oh,
have.
go ahead.
I think I mentioned it a while back, is the Aging Mastery Program that is funded through CSU Extension. We were able to present that at the Woodland Park Senior Center the month of June. It was 5 consecutive Tuesday afternoons for 2 hours. It's a well-versed curriculum with videos, and we had seniors sign up, and they paid $10, and the Senior Center was able to fund the rest of it. They get a nice booklet, an exercise video, the 5 wishes, and every week we covered 2 topics, all different: nutrition and exercise, healthy aging, finances, fall prevention. It just covered a gamut of topics. And I know the Aspen Mind Center in Cripple Creek is getting ready to make that offering, and it's a curriculum that we can take and present around communities. And so Rose Banzoff, who's one of the spearheaded that project for us, and actually our senior center in Woodland Park is completely volunteer run. So she took that on and really got it up and running. We had people from the community, experts from the community come in and speak to the topic. So we had a financial advisor on the community piece. We had a PT person from Cripple Creek Care Center speak on fall prevention. We had a nurse talk to medication management. And so it was a real community effort. And I will ask Rose what the next steps would be for us to get that offered to other facilities and other groups in this collaboration, county collaboration. So I just forgot about that. So there you go. Thanks.
Paula, Dave Betzler here. Just a question on the on that training. What was the name of the training you said that the CSU Extension has?
Yeah, and you can look it up because there's lots of information online. It's Aging Mastery Program, AMP. And you can go online and look it up. It'll give you a nice syllabus to look at. And it actually is a 10-week course. We paired it up. We paired up the topics that went together, and we offered it in 5 weeks, 2 hour from like 2 to 4 every Tuesday afternoon at the Senior Center. And it was very well received. We had about 9 participants, very interactive. And we had some talkers, so it was interesting. I mean, the financial guys started, and they were like, and then by the end, they were like, oh. So it was great. It was great to see the participation. It was great to see they had little homework assignments, which we didn't grade, but they got points towards what we ended up giving them as prizes were farmers market bucks, so that it kind of tied into everything they learned. It got them out in the public. It got them maybe shopping for healthy vegetables and fruit. It got them just engaging with community. It got them exercising by walking through the market. We have a really great farmers market that's just wrapping up, but they, depending on how many points they earned, they were able to get market bucks and spend some money at the market, and the market actually donated those dollars to us to award those points prizes.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so it's great, and like I said, I can have Rose get on this call next time and share more about that. But I know Cripple Creek is getting ready to launch that to their seniors in their community also.
Okay, so now we can move on to some discussion items. I had a question. If we should have, I'm not sure if it's Jill Gabler from City Council come back and kind of talk to us so we can keep City Council, so we can tell them what we're up to. Oh, okay.
She's off.
Nancy Henjum is the new city
Oh,
council
okay.
member who has taken Jill Gabler's place. And both she and council member Yolanda Avila serve on the PPACG Board of Directors.
So there's still an opportunity to have a city council person who can talk to us in the context,
Of aging.
Of aging.
what
Yep.
they're working on from
Yes.
there. What does everyone think about inviting Nancy Henjum or Yolanda Avila to come speak to us and see what's
Miss
happening?
Connie, I think that'd be great.
Okay. Okay, I will reach out to them. Anything else anyone wants to discuss, bring up?
If I may, I'd just like to introduce, we can't see her, but Jenny Nihill there. She is our current military fellow with PPAAA. Oh, there we go. Hi, Jenny.
I'm here, I'm listening. I just,
Yes, thank you. Perfect. So every now and then, about once or twice a year, we have the opportunity at PPACG to invite a military fellow. You might think of them kind of in the context like an intern who comes to work within our environment here. It's typically as their stand down begins from their work with the military. And Jenny found out, found us through one of the resources that helps with that, and wasn't a good match, but then she found out about the social services side, and as I understand it, said that's what I want to know more about. And so we're happy to have her working with us for the next 3 months. She'll be with us through November, and she'll be working primarily with Melissa here at the office. But getting to know more about Area Agency on Aging, the services that we provide in the community, and getting to shadow pretty much everyone in the building by the time it's all over with. So I just wanted to give her a welcome shout out, and you may see her at future meetings. So thanks for being with us today, Jenny.
thanks.
Any other discussion items? Anybody want to bring up anything?
I'll just bring up the aging mastery program sounds fantastic. And because we don't have a centralized senior center, we may discuss doing this at our libraries are in each town. And we might be able to do something at our local library or the community center versus that, because it sounds like a really great program to just expose information. And so thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to take that back to Jenny at Senior
Absolutely.
Coalition, because I think that's something that would be great for the winter, our winter time when they can travel a little bit closer to home. So,
And we could actually offer it virtually. So if you get a group together in your community center, we could offer it virtually.
okay.
So with the videos and everything, it can be offered virtually.
Okay, that would be great. So I've got that on my list. Thank you for sharing that.
You're so welcome.
I think I've mentioned, and this is Dave Betzler, I think I mentioned in the past that the Pikes Peak Regional Emergency Management Office is putting together a 2021 wildfire evacuation drill. It's an exercise, and it's set now for the 2nd of October. So it's coming up. It's a Saturday, running from about 8:30 until about 12:30. It's an opportunity for community members in 4 different locales in the Northern Tri-Lakes area. Particular HOA, the one that I'm in, Red Rock Ranch, Palmer Lake, Monuments, Lake of the Rockies, and Colorado Estates. And it's not an HOA, but it's sort of a group of homeowners. And the idea is for sign up on that. There's a meeting tomorrow night, a final meeting at the Palmer Lake Elementary School for registration and for residents to find out more information about this. It's a pretty big deal. The emergency management folks have pulled this together and put it together previously, once in I think in this almost Manitou Springs, Broadmoor area. And there was another one I think that they did just a number of years ago. So this is the first time they've really kind of focused on the north end of the county. And it's sort of a joint initiative, if you will. The fire department, or the Tri-Lakes Monument Fire Protection District, is very focused on this because it really is that urban, rural urban interface. It's the wildland, the WUI, if you will. So it's going to be a hands-on experience and valuable information to residents on how to prepare for an emergency. On that particular day, the sheriff's department will have last word, 8 or 9 vehicles with members out to direct people that are moving from one area to another. Don't go this way, you must go this way. Law enforcement has that responsibility in an incident like this. Fire department will be out with their folks and their equipment. The National Guard will have 2 helicopters at last count will be flying over. There will be demonstrations. The Red Cross will be there. They're not going to have pet rescue, but there will be sort of a veterinarian area. There'll be a hands-on demonstration, if you will, and debrief at the Lewis Palmer High School on that day of the exercise. So what we're really trying to do is get the word out that in fact, this is an ideal and very important opportunity for seniors or those with limited mobility, those that are somewhat isolated, whatever it is. So it's there's both a sign up online and also in person. So it's an important thing. I think it really has impact, or this type of thing has impact and should be known across the other counties, because seniors are living in their homes 10 years, they're limited mobility, they don't have the ability to get out, they might not have neighbors or friends that they're too familiar with. So it really is it's a huge learning experience, and it's something that is very, very important. So again, that's on the October 2nd, and once it's over, hopefully I'll be able to come back and give you a little bit of rundown on how it went. There will be an after action report. Questions?
Dave, what time was that again? October 2nd, what time?
October 2nd. That's at the Lewis Palmer High School.
I can't hear you now.
Okay, it'll be at the Lewis Palmer High School, October 2nd, 8:30 until 12:30.
Thank you.
And there will be publicity and media. I've talked with a reporter from the Gazette, and I've been told by the public affairs folks with the Emergency Management Office that in fact they're working with the media as well. So hopefully there'll be a lot of attention focused on this, especially with the fire vehicles that are out there, as far as the Red Cross, emergency managers and procedures, and the helicopters. All that will hopefully attract attention and get people focused on emergency preparedness.
Thank you. That's great.
I just had a question too, and I'm not sure if anybody knows the answer, so just pipe in if you do. Do we have people that go out and do mobile vaccinations, especially like COVID, flu? Do you know, Jody, if they go out to rural areas or people that can't get out?
Yeah, so that's actually a really interesting question and extremely timely, because we just had a presentation this morning. Several staff members and I had a presentation, essentially hearing from an organization that is not represented in Colorado right now, but that is presenting some opportunities for that. So back at the end of the year, early part of the year, when there was a big push once the vaccines were available and the vaccine clinics were being set up, those pop-up clinics and the big ones at the World Arena and that kind of thing, there was an obvious lack of service to those who may be homebound or lack transportation. And that was really seen across all 3 of our area, or all 3 of our counties, and ultimately across the state. And so members of our staff, along with members of United Way, 211, and several other organizations, and I know these conversations were going on, here with the El Paso County Health Department. These discussions were also happening between some of our service providers and Teller County Health. And the discussions were, how do we collect this information? How do we collect these names so that we can go in and provide those in person? And so it's really kind of continues to be an ongoing project. I can speak specifically to El Paso County Health. We specifically, along with other providers, direct service providers in our area, pulled together our service lists, used appropriate, searches to really narrow down who might not be able to get out because of the type of services they were receiving. And every single one of those received a phone call to be asked, do you want it? Can you get to a vaccine clinic? And if the answers were yes and no, yes, they want it, and no, they can't get out, that information was passed along with consent to our health department. And they worked with a variety of local providers to group those, to map those addresses appropriately, and go into folks' homes. There was a lot of conversation that was initiated, I would say, from our side of the conversation, because as you might imagine, our staff think of what our seniors need. And so if a senior's in their home, odds are they're having some sort of caregiver services, whether by family, by paid. And so we threw out opportunities like, if Mrs. Jones needs a vaccine, quite possibly Mr. Jones can't get out to get a vaccine either. And so we need to consider, are there family members in the home who also need a vaccine, who are trying to be especially careful during this time. And so we interjected in such a way to expand those conversations, to make sure that those kind of things were being considered. Our transportation providers were especially sensitive to that, making sure that not only did they get to a vaccination site, but were if caregivers needed to go with the individual, that they were allowed to ride. That they stayed with the individual, whether just dropping them off, maybe the caregiver and the individual were dropped off, the bus stayed and did not go out for other rides. They were they were very particular in the way that they managed any calls that they knew were going to be vaccine related for older adults. And so I would say that those programs continue, although not at the level that they did early on. We have actually received a small pass-through funding amount that is specifically to be used with our Adults with Disabilities Resource Center, which is actually in services, which is a combination of us and the Independence Center, specifically to focus on outreach, education, transportation, and vaccine hesitancy. And so that has just been received. We're starting those conversations to figure out how best to use those monies, how best to communicate with the community. And we do expect another round of funding, even though we just got this one and it's specifically for our adults with disabilities community. And that I will clarify that that's actually the 18 and older community, not 60 plus like our traditional services here. So that's a much broader community that's eligible for those services, or this communication package that we're going to be working on. There is another round of funding that's going to be coming. We don't have a timeline. We don't have a specific expectations or scope of work yet, but there will be another one that will be specifically for 60 and over. And so the goal is, like I said, we had a meeting just a couple of days ago. We had a meeting this morning with the service provider. We're going to be talking with our transportation providers because that's a part of it. We're going to be talking with several partnering agencies along with our rural counties as well, to determine what the messaging needs to look like, how to make that happen. How do we, is it transportation that they need, or what? There's a lot of unanswered questions right now, but there are two funding packages that are that very specific, and so they're coming in to be used through September of next year.
Yeah, because I wasn't just COVID, but I know with aging populations, shingles and pneumonia and flu shots, but like, how are we getting them to people that don't have, not just pandemic, but I didn't know if the county does like mobile, like a shot bus or something
do.
that goes.
We
Yeah, so
do.
There are some like that, and then there's a couple of private agencies here in town that do like home, what do you call them, doctor home visit kind
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah,
you
we,
know,
we
nurses.
stood up a van, a mobile vaccine clinic van, and we're hosting those at fire stations or at the community center or local church, wherever it made most sense to have those. So we have been going out into all parts of the county to offer that service to people. And if there was somebody who wasn't able to make it there through our EMS at the local fire protection district, they have been assisting. So
Great.
we only have 17,000 people in our county.
Right.
So, I mean, it's pretty easy, though they're all spread out. So we have been making sure that anyone who wants to receive the vaccine is going to get it.
Okay.
So
Is
I
is
think,
this Amy talking? It's hard to know.
Oh, I'm
Was
sorry.
that
Go
Amy?
ahead.
This is Connie. Was that Amy talking?
yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah, we don't know when you're on Zoom. So thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Sure.
Go ahead, Paula.
I just have my hand up. That's one thing that we'll be offering at our senior holiday expo. The public health has said that they would be there to give COVID and flu shots at our expo as part of community service. So that is one booth we'll have for sure at our November 13th holiday expo. And I believe Leilani made it to the meeting on her phone. So I'm going to call her out because she probably
Thank
was.
you, Lalani. Are you with us now?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Oh,
Yay.
yay. I couldn't get anything to work today. Anything.
Well, welcome. So we are just getting finished with, does anyone else have anything to discuss before we have the Colorado Center on Aging speak?
I have something to say, if that's okay.
Oh, Kelsey, please go ahead.
Awesome. So I was actually just chatting with Elisa yesterday or the day before and let her know that I am transitioning out of my position with the state and into a completely new and different industry. So I was wondering if everyone would be okay with me taking about a 2-month leave of absence, just so I can kind of figure out, get my bearings with this new role and make sure that it aligns with what I'm doing. And that I would still be able to make those monthly meetings.
I'm not sure how that works. So I'm looking at Jody for a little guidance.
There's nothing in the bylaws that says you can't. So most time, I'll be frank with you, people just disappear. So thank you, Kelsey, for taking a moment to just explain that. That's really just a consent amongst the board members. It doesn't require a vote. So thank you for letting them know that. I'm getting the general consensus with nods of head here in the room. That's probably just fine. So unless there's a specific project that you have on your plate right now that you need to hand off to someone, again, there's nothing in the bylaws that would prevent you from doing that.
I'd like a comment. This is Connie. I'd like to say that, it's happened before that someone's transitioned out of their current job, but yet you still have your experience.
Mhm.
I mean, if you don't need to take a leave of absence, I would love for you to stay on because of your experience. I mean, if you can't stay on the whole time, that's fine. But you have so much knowledge, Kelsey. I would hate to see you disappear. I mean, regardless of what you're going to do, you have tons of knowledge and experience in the field.
Thank you, Connie. Yeah, and I agree with that. Yeah, I don't think that it would make sense for me to leave just because I'm leaving the industry currently, but maybe just plan for me to possibly not be at the next meeting until I kind of chat with my new boss and make sure that, this timing once a month would be okay for me to, leave early or kind of do the meeting from work. So maybe all I need really is probably 1 month just to figure that out, really just the scheduling piece.
I
think
have to
that-
echo that too, because we really
Yeah.
appreciate your wisdom and all the experience that you bring. So
Yes.
I think what I'm seeing is everybody nodding, take the time you need, and thanks for just keeping us updated. We appreciate it.
Yep. And good for you. Good luck, honey.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then we are gonna introduce Andrew. Are you still on with us?
I hope so.
Hi, Andrew. Everyone, this is Andrew Davies. He is the Executive Director of the now Colorado Center on Aging, formerly the Colorado Senior Lobby.
Right. So is the floor mine?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me here. I appreciate your time and the invite. So yes, I'm Andrew. I'm the Executive Director for Colorado Center for Aging. Used to be Colorado Senior Lobby, recently reincorporated. And I was under the impression that I was just supposed to give, the general gist of what we're about now. So that's what you're going to get. If you have a long list of specific legislation questions, you will not get them answered today. I've only been in this position for a month or two, and I am not the guru about that. If you want to ask those questions, I would be happy to write them down and get them to someone who can answer them. But I just want to tell you where we're at as an organization, what our future is, and how we want different people and organizations to be part of what we're doing. So we went from a 501c4 lobbying organization to a 501c3 earlier this year. And with that, changed the name and also the scope of what we do. We used to be Colorado Senior Lobby and used to raise the voice of older Coloradans in the halls of government with legislation. We still do that. That is still a big part of what we're about. That has not changed. But our tagline now is raising the voice of older Coloradans, and that's it, without being specific about doing it legislatively. So I'll talk more about that a little bit later, but the scope has widened as well as us becoming a 501c3. So a little of the history of Colorado Senior Lobby and some statistics. It's been around for around 50 years. Each year they have probably looked at, either assessed and come up with some sort of an official position on, or created probably 40 pieces of legislation each year. So over the course of 50 years, that's approaching a couple thousand pieces of legislation. So they have done a lot over a long period of time for older Coloradans, which is really impressive and fun. Some of the things that they've done over the course of the years, after the Older Americans Act happened, CSL helped the Older Coloradans Act come into existence. That was in the 90s after the Older Americans Act in the 60s, to sort of help get legs for the Older Americans Act in Colorado and how funding would happen. That was a pretty cool thing. In the 70s, the Ombudsman program was pulled into Social Services, Department of Social Services, and became sort of what it is today, and they were instrumental in that. In the 90s, the Spousal Protection Long-Term Care Act. So couples could not be impoverished if one was caring for the other in a long-term situation. The property tax credit that was referenced today. I mean, it's still being sort of tweaked and turned around. But Colorado Senior Lobby was instrumental in that coming to pass in its original form. And then most recently, something that we did, and this was referenced also, was Senate Bill 158. That was the loan forgiveness for geriatric trained nurse practitioners and physician assistants in rural Colorado. So Polis signed that on July 5th of 2021. That was something that we produced ourselves and became a bill and became passed. And that was pretty exciting. If you don't know, then those who are willing to serve in rural communities. It's loan forgiveness up to $50,000 a year, as long as they work for 2 years in rural underserved communities. So that's the fine print on that. Since it was brought up earlier, I thought I would explain that. And we need people to take advantage of that, because if people don't, then it will seem like a bill that was not worth it. But we know that it is. We just need to get the word out for people to take advantage of that. I think that there's $500,000 towards that for a number of different people to take advantage of the loan forgiveness. The way that we do things, or have in the past, Colorado Senior Lobby and still Colorado Center for Aging, is through our advocacy committee meetings. When it's not in session, they happen every 2 weeks on Mondays. When it is session, they happen every week on the same Monday mornings. And I will put some links into the chat about how you can hear about what we're doing and how you might even be involved in those advocacy committee meetings. There are 18 different topic groups, and those topics are widespread. You know, it's housing, it's food, it's healthcare, it's all of those different things. And we need lots of different people to be part of those topic teams, or subcommittees as we call them, so that they can help think through those issues really well and help us come to official assessments and policy positions on them. So I will give you those links a little bit later. We also train people to be good citizens and advocates, knowing how to lobby or even just speak to legislators. Each year we train probably 50 or 60 different people for that. So you do the math, and over the course of, you know, doing that for 25 years, that's probably over 1,000 people trained to be advocates for themselves and older Coloradans, which is really cool. We have historically done something called Senior Day at the Capitol, which is a couple hundred people showing up at the Capitol and being a voice for older Coloradans in different ways. We changed the name of that this last year and called it a Capitol Affair, and made it a little bit more directed, where small groups talk to specific legislators about specific issues. And that was a really good event that we did. Just to give you a little bit of the scope of how big we are, we have 1,200 people on our mailing list who are supporters of what we do, and they want to have their ears to what we're doing. And we have probably 200 people that are official members, and they can vote at the advocacy meetings on Mondays. And they, a number of them are also in the subgroup teams where they're researching topics so that we can come up with policy positions on certain things. So where we are now is, like I said, we have reincorporated to be a 501c3 and have expanded our scope beyond just legislation. And we've got some goals with this. We want to become more geographically diverse in Colorado. Colorado Senior Lobby has been Denver-centric, or so it's been said, for a long time. We don't want that. We are the Colorado Center for Aging, not the Denver Center for Aging. So we want representatives and members in all the corners of Colorado. We also want to become more diverse demographically, because that only makes sense if we are really raising the voice of older Coloradans. We want to raise all voices of older Coloradans. So we have that goal here in our future. And lastly, with our reincorporation, we're looking to provide forums, create forums, and facilitate conversations that are about issues that impact older Coloradans, both with legislative solutions, which has been our bread and butter for 50 years, but also non-legislative solutions. That's raising the voice of all the older Coloradans, but not just with government issues or what could be, but anything that works. If there is some program in some corner of Colorado that was done by local legislation or just nonprofit or whatever it is, but it is addressing issues and solving problems for older Coloradans, we want to know those stories. And we want to be a forum and a vehicle for getting those stories out, so more older Coloradans can live better lives through whatever means we find is the most applicable. If it's legislative, great. If it's not, great. But our scope is expanded so that we can hear those things and get the word out for older Coloradans. So that's a lot about what we do. One last thing about the reincorporation is we're starting to do educational events as well. We're starting to do webinars on particular topics that we think are relevant for older Coloradans. We want different people to give us feedback, once again, of what those issues are and what things can be addressed in an educational forum like a webinar, because we want to do more of those. So that is a lot of who we are. Like I said, I'm going to put some things in the chat here. If you are interested in what we're doing with regard to advocacy, then you can click this link and it tells you about our different teams that are talking about different subjects and different issues. This one here is specifically about the advocacy meeting that happens on Mondays, every other Mondays in the morning. If you scroll to the bottom of that link, then you can click it and sign your name, put your email so that you can be on our mailing list for the advocacy meetings. We want people to be aware of what's happening during those meetings, what issues and topics are going to be addressed. So if you go there, then you can be on that list, and we would love to have you be part of it. And then lastly, if you want to actually become a voting member for the advocacy committee on Mondays, then you can go to this link. Anyone is invited to go to the advocacy committee meetings on Mondays and hear what's going on. Tell far and wide, whoever you want. We would love lots of ears and participation in those meetings. If you want to vote when voting happens about what position we should take on whatever legislation is being proposed, then you need to be a member. And if you click on that link, you can be a member. There's a student rate, and then there's an individual rate. And then if you want to, give us a little gift for how we function in general budget, you can do that also. But we need members to be involved, and those members, once again, can vote in what's going on. One last thing, I suppose, and then if you do have some questions, I'll try to answer them, is we are trying to figure out how to officially partner with different regions in the state. Because like I said, one of our goals is to be geographically diverse and not Denver centric. I myself, I live in Northern Colorado. We want Northern Colorado's voice heard. We want you all, Western Slope, everyone. We don't have a mechanism for that yet. We want to figure out, we might be doing regional chapters and have different organizations be, like the official liaison to their region, and sort of champion what we're about and be a funnel for ideas in their region so that it gets back to us. We're figuring out what that mechanism will be, but we don't have it yet. If you have ideas on that, great, send them to me. But for right now, those links that I gave you about hearing what's going on in the advocacy meetings is great, and becoming a member is great. And on our website, of course, there's just a contact us form. If you ever have a question or want to be enlightened about anything that we're doing, you can send us an email through that contact, and we would be happy to field your question and to get those things answered. So that's us. I've sort of talked at you for a little while. If you have any big picture questions, let me know. If you have any specific legislation questions, like I said, I'll write them down and get them to the right people.
Thank you for that, Andrew. I just have two things that you can maybe expand on. Recently, the Colorado Center for Aging, the reason I know this is I'm also a volunteer for them. So they have recently formed Voices on Aging Advisory Council, where we are trying to brainstorm some of the things that Andrew was just speaking about. And I didn't know if I had loosely mentioned to the commission about a Colorado State Town Hall meeting.
Correct. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, Voices on Aging, that's one of the teams we're creating to do just what you're talking about. We are going to have a Voices on Aging town hall And we just today, we decided just before I got on this meeting that is going to be in November, Tuesday the 9th in the morning. We have the specific time we need to hammer out, but if you want to pencil that in, it'll be a 2-hour time where we have some speakers about issues that are going on in Colorado that we think are particularly relevant. And then we will have a time where we talk about, because we're going to do some surveying and try to get ideas from people in the 4 corners of Colorado, what their biggest successes are in areas of aging and their biggest challenges. And then we want to coalesce that into some sort of a form and present that at that meeting so that we can get sort of a bird's eye view of Colorado and the big picture things that we're succeeding in and the biggest challenges. So take note of that meeting time. And we're also going to have some open forum time during that meeting where people can actually give voice to what's going on in their regions, both challenges and successes. So that is a vehicle, the Voices on Aging Town Hall. And that's also a team that will perpetually try to do what we're talking about with raising those voices.
And I know we have a meeting coming up. I think I had asked you, so maybe you can just answer this. With El Paso County being one of the biggest counties in the state, would you need something from us or through the PPACG for El Paso County to be represented?
Yeah, I will have to think about exactly what it means for you to be represented. Of course, we want all of you to participate in the town hall. And we will be getting promotional materials, getting those within the next week, and we'll send them to you and far and wide so that you can also put them through your channel so that we can have lots and lots of people putting their ears in on that meeting. And yes, we want you in El Paso and people everywhere to be involved in helping that meeting be successful.
That's great. I think a lot of great information and ideas could come out of that town hall.
Yeah, it'll be the first time that this has ever been done, where we try to get feedback from, the diverse geography of Colorado and put it in a form that we can give to you all, and also give that put it in a form to give to legislators. So when they start thinking about, the 2022 session, they'll have the big pieces in a way that we hope that they will be able to understand, put their heads around as they themselves start thinking about legislation in the coming year. I think it'll be the first time that will have ever been done, which is sort of an exciting thing.
Does anybody else have any questions for Andrew?
Andrew, Dave Betzler here. One thought strikes me here is that with the long history that Colorado Senior Lobby and now the Center on Aging has dealing with individual legislators, it would be probably worthwhile at some point for us to get an understanding of who the really strong proponents are for senior issues, senior bills, and the rest of it, that carry that as one of their 2 or 3 main emphases and have been for a number of years. That would be very helpful so that not only in the public forums, but then privately, we can begin to work and build some relationships with legislators that might tend to strengthen the proposals when they ultimately come forward for votes.
That is a great comment. I have made a note about that. That's something that we could definitely think through, come up with a list and get to everyone who's interested. Thank you for that comment.
Right. Rich Morrow is key on that thing, I think, and also Jessica's doing it here. But again, from the membership of the various bodies under PPACG, we don't really get that visibility or understanding. And it could be that one of the legislators who is a very strong senior proponent might be in our neighborhood. We just don't know it. So that's really important to get that in.
Great.
And
Thank you.
Andrew, in closing, what you were saying that you want collaboration and partnership, what can the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging do to help you and help the Colorado Center on Aging?
Well, once again, click those links, and if you all as individuals or however you want to do it, want to be involved in the advocacy meetings, just to know what's going on, then that would be great. And that is a two-way thing. It's not just you learning things about what we're doing, but hopefully it's you all participating and adding your voice to those discussions. So please be involved in that way. And, this is just sort of a wait for us to figure ourselves out thing. But once we figure out a mechanism for partnering officially with different regions, we'd love to come back and present that to you so that you can think about whether you're, who in your region might want to be the official partnering liaison, or whatever mechanism we come up with. We'd like to present back to you so that we can figure out how to make those channels of communication really good and have representation throughout the state.
Well, I think that sounds good from our standpoint. We look forward to it.
All right.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll put my name in the chat, my email. So if you have questions, and our ears are always open for you all. Thanks for your participation.
Thank you.
So again, for next month, if anyone has an idea of what a good speaker would be, issues we should know about, I will reach out to Nancy Henjum and Yolanda Avila and see if one or both could come and just kind of bring us up to speed on what our city council here locally is working on in terms of aging. We're going to move on to, I don't think we have anything on our calendar that I know of. A bunch of people have set a couple of dates about things in October, like Dave was telling us about that. I will be able to update you more because I will be in on the meeting with the Colorado Center of Aging about that town hall, and I will send out updates as soon as their meeting is over to let everybody know, because it would be great as many of our commissioners could be on or could possibly participate in that. I think it would be helpful to even listen or to help facilitate or jump in, whatever it is that they need from us. So now we're going to move on to member announcements. Does any one of the commissioners have anything to announce? No.
Just a reminder, the October 15th legislative roundtable. Of course, that was the big push for moving the Commission on Aging over from the city into the 3-county region, was to be able to participate in more legislative areas. So we would certainly invite you to that.
21C?
Yes, it's at 21C.
Okay.
At 2:30 on October 15th. And then Elisa alluded to it earlier. Claire and Mailing presented the Aging 2.0, the age-friendly 2.0 at the county level to the PPACG Board of Directors. And so there may be opportunities that this board can participate in that even further. So be watching for more to come.
Yes, agreed. We have spoken to Claire in the last couple of months, and she is going to let us know how we can participate and help her with the 2.0 as we get going, whether it's surveys, whether it's feedback, whatever she needs. She's going to keep us updated so we can help her in Mailing get going with that. Any other announcements? And if anyone has any ideas that they want me to share at the Colorado Center for Aging Advisory Council meeting, I am meeting with them next week. So you can just shoot me an email if you think of topics that you think are really relevant and I need to get in front of them. I'm happy to bring them a list from our commissioners and just say, this is what we've been thinking about. And our next meeting is October 20th. It's going to be a hybrid as of now. As we all know, these things can change. So we will, Melissa's always really excellent about keeping us up to date between Elizabeth and Jessica. B and Jessica M. Our executive meeting is the second Monday at 11. And then the advocacy meetings for CCA are on Mondays. It says, which advocacy are those yours? Your advocacy meetings are the fourth Wednesday, but the Colorado Center for Aging are on Mondays, the ones that you all participate in. If there's nothing else, we are going to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
See you all next month. Thanks
All
for
right.
attending.
Good to see y'all.
Thank you very
Next.
much.
Bye-bye.
Good meeting. Thanks.
For those of you in the